Boys and girls, today our topic is sentence structures, and the three that we're going to focus on is simple, compound, and complex. Our objective or our end goal is that we're going to be able to differentiate, meaning we're going to be able to tell between the three different sentence structures. So let's look at the three sentences here in the sentence column. The first one reads, "The smart kids read books every night." Okay, this would be considered a simple sentence. Why? Because it has one complete thought. And simple sentences have a subject, which that means it tells who or what the sentence is about. And then there's a predicate. That's the verb phrase or the action part that tells what the subject is or what it's doing. Okay, so another example would be dogs and cats make good pets. The subject will be the dogs and cats, and what about them? They make good pets. Okay, so our next sentence says, "The kids read books every night and then they go to bed." This particular sentence is what we call a compound sentence. And so compound sentences have two complete thoughts that are joined by a conjunction. And we've talked about conjunctions before when we talked about fanboys, and then we listened to the Schoolhouse Rock conjunction junction. What's your function? When we listened to that song, and it was talking about how these words hook up phrases and clauses and things of that nature. And so those conjunctions would be and, but, or so. Those are not all, but they're joining words. They're examples of joining words, okay? And so you can see that the kids read books every night and then they go to bed, okay? So there's two complete thoughts there. The kids read books every night. That can stand alone by itself. Then they go to bed. That particular piece of the sentence can stand alone as well. Okay, so those would be two complete thoughts that are now joined by this conjunction. And so, for example, I love elephants, but I don't like the zoo. I love elephants is a complete thought. I don't like the zoo. That's a complete thought. But they're both joined together by this conjunction, but. Okay? And our final sentence. The kids read books at night before going to bed. Now, this will be considered a complex sentence. And sometimes complex sentences can be sort of tricky to identify, right? And so how you can identify those is a complex sentence has one complete thought, okay? And then it has another piece that is dependent. It's a dependent clause. That means that piece can't stand alone, okay? And complex sentences will always have a subordinate conjunction, okay? And that's awubis. And we talked about that just a little bit earlier, and then there's a anchor chart that I've included here in your Canvas course that lists all of the awubis conjunctions there, okay? So let's look at this one. Again, the kids read books at night before going to bed. So we just said that a complex sentence has one complete thought that can stand alone. And then it has another piece to it that's dependent that cannot stand alone. So let's look at it and see if we can figure out what part is the complete thought and what part is the dependent clause, the phrase that cannot stand alone. You're absolutely right. The kids read books at night, that's a complete thought, okay? Going to bed, that's a dependent clause. That can't stand alone as a sentence by itself, okay? And so you have those two pieces together that are joined by this subordinate conjunction, okay? Another one is after dinner, we can watch a movie. Okay? So after dinner is dependent. If you just walk up to someone and you say after dinner, you're going to leave them wondering, right? That piece is leaning on something. It has to have something else with it to make sense. And so then you have, we can watch a movie. That is going to be your complete thought piece. So I hope that you've noticed that sometimes the dependent clause, that piece may come first in the sentence, and then the actual complete thought will come after that. Okay, that's always possible. So I want to kind of go back over again the notion that sometimes independent clauses and dependent clauses are also separated by a comma. You will notice here, dependent clause, independent clause, separated by a comma. Okay? So for that particular instance, when you're talking about complex sentences. Okay? So next, what we're going to do, we're going to play a little game. And so I want you to go ahead and put your thinking caps on, and we're going to work through a quick Kahoot together. And then you're going to get an opportunity to work independently and try your hand at identifying simple, compound, and complex sentence structures.